Hey guys, this is Chris with the Legacy, and we have a 3-star Dragon attack here against this base. Now this is all maxed out other than for a single Tesla, so it's going to be pretty hard to get. To start things off, against a maxed out Town Hall 8 base, it's extremely difficult to beat using lightning spells. The reason being is even though you can probably get all 3 air defenses with the lightning, it's just much too hard to clean up the rest of the base. You just usually fall short due to the high level archer towers and Tesla. So whenever I'm looking at a max base, I always look to make a standard rage heal attack where I just rage in and send in some balloons and heal those up. Now the problem is on this base, the air defense are pretty spread out, so it makes my standard rage heal pretty much impossible to pull off. I can't just rage heal through the middle and expect to get all 3 air defenses. So in order to 3-star this base, I'm not going to be able to do it with lightning. The only way that lightning really works here, maybe it would work because there aren't any storages in the base, and really that's what you need. If you want a 3-star max Town Hall 8 with lightning, they need to have all of the storages way far away from the base. Like even on the edge of the map would be preferable, but with this base, I really want to try to see if I can get away still using some kind of a rage heal or 3 rage attack in order to take it down. Now, what I'm looking at is with this setup, again we have 2 potential entry points with these air defense flush like that, and then with the 2 on the bottom. I really want to come in on either the right or the bottom to knock off 2 right off the bat. On the right hand side, we have 2 archer towers, which means I want to pick those off my way in, which will make cleanup a lot easier. And then also, if you look in the bottom, the Barbarian King is down here, and that wastes a lot of time on your entry since he has so much hit points, and he also walks around, so he'll drag dragons around with him. So for those 2 reasons, coming in on the right is really ideal for this base. Now, there's a couple problems with that. Mainly, this air defense over on the left is going to just wreck me if I don't get it somehow. Now, whenever I'm making kind of like a rage attack on spread out air defenses, I need to find some kind of a trick to get this last air defense, because just dropping in my balloons behind my dragons is really not going to work. The pathing, if you look, is just not going to be great. Say I drop them in on the bottom, they're going to do something like this, and I just can't reliably get them there by the time they die in order to get that air defense. So what I'm going to try to do is sneak in some balloons on the right. And I usually do this with either balloons or hogs. In this case, I opted for balloons because I knew there was a Tesla here, and I figured I could get there in 2 moves if I dropped balloons in like that and raged them up. It actually ended up taking me 3 moves because they took a detour, which was unfortunate, but I did still get it. It was a little bit closer than I wanted to, but with this base, since that last air defense is fairly open, I went with that route to take it down. If it were more well protected with some air bombs, say, over here, it would be much harder. Also, putting a Tesla in front is usually better because you can kind of guarantee that my balloons won't be able to get there in 2 moves. Also, ideally, there'd also be a spring trap here. So if I did hog, you would be able to pick off 3 of my hogs with that spring trap, and I'm probably not getting that air defense with 2 hogs. So something to keep in mind when doing base defense. These spread air defenses are really the best way to stop dragons, but if you don't protect the outer air defense in some way, you are still open to getting taken down. Now, if you'll notice, this sweeper up in the top left is totally useless. It really might as well be over here on the left and pointing away from the base. That's about how useful it is right now. If anything, if you wanted to make this base stronger, put the sweeper here where the wizard tower is, and then turn it around so it's pointing like that. That way, you'll definitely waste my time coming in on that 1 air defense at least. And depending on where I hit from, either the bottom or the right, it would equally slow down either approach. So that would be a better way to do it. And with these wizard towers in the core, there's really no reason to have all 3 of them there. So with that in mind, maybe a few other details real quick. Again, you'll see this guy has huts on each of his corners, which usually isn't a problem because I'll put in a dragon on each corner coming in. But for this attack, I'm not coming in on one of the sides. I'm coming in on like a diagonal, really. So for that reason, I'm not going to be able to put a dragon on 3 of these corners, and that can lead to timeout problems. But really, if you make a pretty strong attack, and you get through the base quickly with enough dragons, you can still make up that time at the end. Now, it was a little bit close, so in retrospect, maybe I could have made 3 balloons, 2 minions, and an archer, and use the minions and archers to pick off the huts. And then the balloons are really nice if you can backdoor drop them on these archer towers. I just didn't really go that route because I really wanted to make sure I got these air defenses, but in retrospect, after seeing how my replay worked out, maybe I would have done that. Now, let's talk about a couple other things very briefly. These air defense ranges. If you'll notice, the range really ends right about here, and then something like this, and then something like this. So in terms of, which of these buildings can I pick off safely? Because at a first glance, it looks like these air defenses are pretty well defended, but in my opinion, they're not, because on an entry, I can stick 2 dragons here safely. I can stick a dragon here, 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 here. The only thing that I can't get is this top right barracks. I thought a dragon would be out of range. It's actually really close, but as it turns out, he did start getting hit by the air defense sooner than I wanted to. Wasn't the end of the world, though. But keeping this in mind, with all my other entry points, these buildings here aren't even in play. They're going to be dead by the time my dragons start getting hit by air defenses. So if you look at the remaining defenses near the air defenses, there's only these 3 towers, and then maybe this mortar if you want to count it. And then that's it. There might be like a Tesla here. I forget if there's a Tesla here or whatever. But that's at most 5 defenses that don't have that many hit points in front of these air defenses. So other than that, and the Clan Castle Dragon is coming out, these air defenses are going to go down super fast. So even though maybe at first glance it does look like there's a lot of things in the way of these air defenses, if you just really time the entry well and pick off as much as you can before the air defenses start shooting at you, you're going to get those air defenses really fast. And then as like a final point, also this base is really great for using your Barbarian King to tank. Again, if you notice on the right, there are these 2 archer towers, so really an ideal point for the Barbarian King is right here like that. And what you want to try to always do is get archer towers to shoot you and not cannons. Now the cannon range is going to be close. I forget whether or not it gets my king or not, but at least I'm getting these 2 archer towers. And what was actually an added bonus here is my king is going to be the one who trips the clan castle. So that clan castle dragon is going to come out and target my king, which gives my dragons so much more hit points. Pretty much nearly all of my king's hit points plus his ability gets converted to dragon points. So I really do have a lot of dragons left at the end of this rage. So another thing to keep in mind when using your king effectively. Now to really maximize my king here, I went and looked up the hit points on this building, this Dark Elixir spell, and it has 660. And then a level 3 dragon does 270 damage per shot. So my dragon, say if I drop 1 dragon here on this hut, it's going to one-shot the hut. It's going to come in and start hitting this spell factory. In 3 shots, it's going to get it. And after that 3rd shot, it's going to be in range of these archer towers. So what I did was, after the 2nd shot, I immediately put my king in. That really maximizes the time that my king will be alive to tank for dragons. So pretty much what you want to try to do is get your king in, and then as quickly as possible, have him start working for your dragons. If you just put your king in first and let him kill that factory, all that time he's wasted killing the factory, he's not doing anything for your dragons. So I try to time it out as quickly as possible, get my king in, and then immediately have my dragons start their approach. So maybe another thing to think about with your attacks. But other than that, let's go ahead and get into the attack. So here we go with the dragon on the right. We're going to take 2 shots on the spell factory. There goes the king, and right away he starts getting hit. So the cannon's actually not hitting him, which is ideal, and both archer towers are. Now you'll see on the top right that dragon is getting hit by the air defense. I didn't think that was going to happen, but it did. Now all of the clan castle troops are targeting my dragon, which is ideal, so nothing other than air defenses is hitting my dragon yet. As you'll see, these air defenses go down super fast because there's just nothing in the way of protecting them. Now I might have put my balloons in a second early, but here they come on the bottom left, and they're going to rage in. Unfortunately, they're going to go for that Tesla. I really thought they would path up to that air defense, but sometimes they can be hard to predict because they do have a little bit of a wiggle in their movement. And I finished the air defense with only one balloon left. So again, it was a little bit close, and maybe had he had some air bombs next to that air defense, he could have shut me down. Now, if you'll notice on the top there, he's got both of his seekers up there, right on the edge of the map, which really isn't a great spot to put them. You should put them where you expect to get hit from. This guy apparently thought he would get hit from the top left, and that's never going to happen. So here's the other seeker. Now I'm going to pause it for a second. Knowing what we know now, after I attacked, if, say, I timed out and didn't finish, since there are two seekers up here that we just saw and we didn't know beforehand, I would absolutely make what I talked about initially, make 3 balloons, 2 minions, and an archer. Put like a minion, archer, and a minion on each of these huts. And then with your 3 balloons, try to sneak them in. You can use 2 balloons on this archer tower. Right now, actually would be ideal. Once this archer tower is locked on to a dragon, sneak your balloons in and pick it off. Because as you'll see, this archer tower on the left does do a significant amount of damage while my dragons are slowly working through. But if you time it well and position it well with that last balloon, if you can sneak that 3rd balloon through those 2 seekers, that would be phenomenal, because you would just be wasting 2 seekers and saving pretty much 2 dragons worth of health. So that's another little trick you can think of once you know the position of seekers and if they're easily accessible. So always put your seekers more towards the middle, where it's a little bit harder for me to just waste them if I know where they are. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up now. I think I finished with 4 or 5 dragons, I guess 4. Now as you'll see, I have about a minute left now. I finished the attack, I think, with 15 seconds left. But with all this extra time, even though I do have to get these 3 remaining huts, which is kind of painful to watch, because I did power through the base quickly, I did have that time to get the huts. Again, it was a bit closer than I would have wanted it to be with the time. I think I had maybe 10 seconds left, 10, 15, but it still wrapped up, so that went well. So again, this is a rare 3 rage attack for me. I usually do 2 rage and a heal, but since I had to sneak my balloons in on the side, I went with that 3rd rage. But it's another option to work with, given the spread layout of the air defenses, so it went well, I guess. Alright, that's going to wrap it up. This is Chris with The Legacy. Thanks for watching.